Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you this really easy, really inexpensive DIY Ewok ear project. Everything I got was from Michael's, so you know it's pretty inexpensive anyway. You're going to need a couple pieces of colored felt. You're going to need some pipe cleaners. You're going to need some craft fur, a couple of headbands, preferably with holes in them, a couple of wooden discs, scissors. You're going to need glue sticks, and a glue gun, hot glue gun. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take one of the pipe cleaners and connect both of your headbands. You're going to start by connecting at one end and then just weaving between the two headbands. You're probably going to need two pipe cleaners. I needed two pipe cleaners because one is not quite long enough to get the two together. So just take your time, go through it, weave in one side and out the other until you've got both of your headbands connected. After you're done weaving your headbands, you're going to have a little bit of excess, so just make sure you cut that off so you don't have any extra wires poking you in the head once you're done with your little Ewok ears. The next thing you're going to do is take your wooden discs and trace on the back of your craft fur 4 little circles, because you're going to need 2 pieces for each ear, 1 piece to cover each side of your wooden disc. Now you're going to want to carefully cut out each circle. Somebody told me that using an X-Acto knife would probably be better. I did not listen. I continued to use scissors, and you will probably end up with a really big mess of fur. But that's okay. Just cut out all your circles and we can clean it up later. After you're done cutting out all your circles, just kind of smack them against each other and get out all that excess fur that was cut. As you can see, there is quite the mess on the table, but I have an easy way to clean it up, and you'll see that in a second. I definitely knew that I kept this lint roller around for a good reason. It was for crafting, right? So just kind of after you carefully gather up all the big pieces, just take your lint roller and get all the small hairs that you can't really grab. Keep this around because you'll need it for later. So now you are going to want to cut out the inner parts of the ear. Just take one of these small, like 3-ounce paper cups, and the bottom of the circle and kind of trace it around, leaving the flat edge of the felt straight. That will be the bottom of the inner part of the ear. Do this 2 times. You're only going to need 1 for each ear. After you've cut one out, you're just going to want to trim a little bit around the edge and kind of, I don't know, cut it out into an ear shape. It's only going to be about 1/2 centimeter that you're going to have to cut out, but it will leave you with a shape that's not so round. It's kind of, I don't know, how do you describe that? But it looks like the inside of an ear. So for the second piece, just lay that piece that you cut out on top of that circle and cut around it. So I guess technically you didn't have to trace 2 circles. You could have just done 1. So now it's time to glue the wooden discs onto your circular fur pieces. You're just going to start by putting some hot glue on one of the fur pieces and then carefully laying down one of the wooden discs on top of that. Next, you're going to take one of the pipe cleaners and attach it inside, or attach one of the ends to one of the buttonholes on the inside. This pipe cleaner is going to be used to attach the ear to the headband eventually, but it's also going to act as like the seal to the seam between the 2 pieces of fur so that you don't see the wooden disc inside. So carefully, again with the hot glue, put some to attach the pipe cleaner and then cover the entire disc and add your second piece of fur to that. So now what you're going to do is again seal that seam. So you're going to carefully add a little bit of hot glue and then curve that pipe cleaner around the wooden disc. Carefully press in and on top of the pipe cleaner so that you don't have any open pockets to where you can see inside of the ear. You don't want to see any of the wooden disc at all. After you've made your way all the way around and secure it where you started it, just kind of straighten out that end of the pipe cleaner, because this is going to be how you attach it to the headband. Also fluff out any excess fur that may have gotten ripped out or cut off or whatever. And so now you are ready to attach the inside of your ear. So just kind of move the fur around a little bit and make room for that piece of felt. You're going to take it, it's going to look just like that, and you're going to take some glue and carefully attach it. So this is just putting the final pieces of glue onto that inner ear piece. Press it down lightly, make sure it sticks to the fur, kind of test it out too and make sure it doesn't come off or it's not too loose. After you do that, take that fur around that inner ear and kind of fluff it out so it doesn't look so flat and matted. Take your scissors and carefully trim all the little wispies off of it. You kind of want to make it even. You don't want any hair pieces too long. Go around the other side to the back of the ear and just kind of trim it a little bit too. Again, you don't want it to look too fluffy, but you also don't want it to look like there's no fur either. And there you have your two ears that are assembled. So now we get to move on to the headband part. So the way I measured this was I kind of took the felt and I folded it over to cover most of the headband, and then the other side I kind of measured about the same. So it's like an inch or so overhang on either side of the headband. We did this so that it would kind of resemble the hood that the Ewoks have without actually putting on a hood. So it's not too thin. If you want to do it thinner, you can certainly do that, but these ears we had a little bit of overhang. That's what my friend wanted anyway. So I'm cutting out 2 pieces for the top and 1 piece for underneath. 2 pieces on top so that you don't see any of the headband and it's thick enough to hide any of the headband imprints. So then you're just going to carefully glue on the 2 pieces of felt on top. Leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the ends because you're going to use separate felt for that. When you're rolling it to attach the other end, hold it on the table pretty taut just to make sure that there are no spaces in between the headband and the felt. This way you ensure it's got a pretty tight fit. Before you go and attach your ears to the headband, you're going to want to measure and place, where you want your ears. I think mine ended up being a little bit off, so it's best to do this like in the mirror or have somebody there with you to kind of help you place them in the right spots. But wherever you decide to put your ears, mark it with a Sharpie. Try and mark it on top of one of the holes of the headband so that when you go to make the hole to poke it through, you're already, you're not struggling or hitting part of the headband. So just do this on both sides. You can redo it if you need to, but don't mark it too many times because you're not going to be able to cover up that Sharpie mark. So make sure you have a really sharp pair of scissors. These scissors are pretty new. I bought these like a couple weeks ago and I haven't really used them much, but poke a hole through the felt. It should be fairly easy, and then slide that pipe cleaner right through. Pull it so that the ear meets the headband, and you're going to want to add a little bit of hot glue on both sides just to make sure that the ear is secured to the headband. You don't want it flopping around or bending because it might break. It's just a pipe cleaner. So pull the pipe cleaner through the bottom underneath just to make sure that that hot glue sets properly and that your ear is securely attached to the headband. After you've got both of your ears successfully attached, you're going to want to start wrapping the ends of your headband. So take a single piece of felt, attach it to the end of one of the headbands from the top, and you're just going to hot glue it and roll it along the inside. Make sure you do this small section by small section because you want to make sure you're pulling the felt taut. Again, you don't want any excess spaces, but just take your time with it. It might take about 5 minutes or so to do, but it'll ensure that 1, the headband is sticking to the felt, and 2, you've got a pretty, tight fit around there. As you can see the headband imprints everywhere, but it's pretty secure. So now you're just gonna want to cut the excess, trim it off, make it even if you have to cut part of where you had before, it'll make it even on both sides. Okay, so now that you've cut everything, you've trimmed it off, you're going to want to seal these. So just take your hot glue gun and add a small strip of hot glue along the edge, and you're just going to slowly and carefully press the 2 pieces of felt together. So you're going to do this on one side, and then you're going to do it on the other side. Again, using small sections just to make sure you don't have too much glue that's not going to dry in time. I did about 2 inches at a time. Just like I said, carefully add the hot glue in a small strip like this, and then gently press it together. You might have to make some adjustments later. Go through it once and then see what you're left with and add more glue if you need to. After your final trims, your Ewok ears are complete. Look how freaking cute these are. I think they turned out pretty well. For something that was totally off the cuff, totally random, I'm pretty happy with these. So I really hope you guys liked this tutorial. I mean, like I said, it was pretty easy, inexpensive, and it's perfect if you're going to see Star Wars on Friday. I'm going on Sunday with my dad and my husband, so I'm really excited about that. But let me know if you're going, and let me know if you try this out. May the Force be with you.